So it's my favourite weekend in the racing calendar, Irish Champions Weekend, sponsored by Longines. And what a day's racing we have on Saturday, and what a day's racing we have on Sunday. And not only that, if we could win the 100,000 pot that's guaranteed for the Tote Pick 6 on either day, it would just make it all the better. And I think we can start off with two reasonably confident selections in the first race for the Pick 6. This is a belter of a race, and I think Burmese Walls, trained by Ger Lyons, showed an awful lot of speed and class to win at Dundalk last time. Ger's a big fan of the sire showcasing. He obviously had Capella Sansevero by the same sire before, and I think this horse will be well up to this grade. And the other one to put in, I think, is Trehias. Trehias was a massive eye catcher first time out at Gorn. That's a really difficult track for a debutant, and came on from that to win readily at the Curragh, and basically looks like a horse who will just go on to better things for Jessica Harrington. So there are our first picks in the first race. On to the second race. I love this handicap. It's really, really competitive. And just the way things are going with Irish racing at the moment, Willie Mullins has lots of runners, as you would expect. He just has all these classy horses coming from jumps to go on the flat. And Aidan O'Brien is very strongly represented as well. And I think with Aidan, Astronomer is going to be very, very interesting here. He's on the cusp of a four-timer, won readily at Leopardstown and followed that up at Listowel. But also Cliffs of Dooneen. He looks a typically kind of progressive stayer by Galileo that could well end up being a Gold Cup horse in time. I certainly would think that the two of them merit a mention, but Willie's two as well. Of the pick from Clossutton, I like two in particular, Limini. Now, she went up quite markedly in the handicap for a couple of seconds at Galway, but she probably still is well treated. I think this kind of slightly sharper test might suit her. She's plenty of speed, and I do think that there's more to come from her. And Legal Spin, a very well-bred horse. I thought this horse was disadvantaged really by the drop and trip last time, but I was really taken by his win previously at Killarney, and under Lee Roach with a good draw, he's very, very interesting for me. On to the third race. I think actually if we do have a winner in Mad Moon in this race, it'll be the biggest cheer that the whole weekend will get, because Kevin Prendergast, at 86 years of age, he commented after this horse won his maiden that it'll keep me getting up in the winter. You know, what a man. There's no other sport, I think, where you can have a guy at the peak of his powers, or certainly competing at this level at 86. His by dawn approach, he was brilliant on his debut, really, really taking performance, seemed to justify a lot of market support and a lot of belief in him, and I can't see him but running a very big race here. But if he is to be beaten, I think Broome could be the one. When he ran at York, Aidan's horses were more or less out of form. His previous win at Galway showed that he's a very good attitude and he's progressive as well. Aidan could have a big say, I think, in the fourth race as well. Rostropovich is the son of Frankel, who's dead solid, was probably sacrificed with as a pacemaker last time in top company, but prior to that his form is really, really good, particularly in the Irish Derby. Admittedly, he might be a bit flattered by that, but he's very, very straightforward horse. I'll see him being up in the van. And Giuseppe Garibaldi is also a horse who stays further. I think he will be keeping on at the end of the race, and Aidan could have a 1-2 here, but for pick 6 purposes, we'll certainly give ourselves a strong chance of going into the fifth race, and that is Alpha Centauri. Now, she is obviously the bet of the weekend, or certainly the banker of the weekend. There's literally no reason that I can see why she's beaten. As we're recording this now, there is a bit of rain outside. A deluge of rain would be an issue, but speaking to her connections after her last win, they said yielding ground would be fine. I don't even think it'll be yielding. I think it might be good, might even be good to firm. She's well clear on ratings here, unless Clemmy makes a massive step forward. You know, even if she did, it's hard to see Alpha Centauri being beaten, so we're going to have a banker in race 5. And that brings us on to a tricky race 6, where we're going to put up Zeba for Tommy Sack's son Fozzie, who's having a fine campaign, and Psychedelic Funk, who I think might be a little bit overpriced here. He likes the mile, even though he's form over shorter. There's going to be a lot of pace in this race with Kenya in it and a couple of others as well. And I think Zeba, while disappointing last time, if you can go back to his earlier form, he's well in this on ratings. And Psychedelic Funk, what a horse he's been, the son of Schwarzer for Ger Lyons. And if we're up for the 100 grand at this stage, happy days.